Most people don't realize this. You're not accidentally middle class. You were trained to be predictable, manageable, and financially obedient, not by your parents, but by a system that rewards comfort and punishes curiosity. And once you see how deep the conditioning goes, you can't unsee it. Stickman, grab your notebook. This one's uncomfortable. You weren't raised to succeed, you were conditioned to comply. The obedience loop. Most people grow up hearing the same script. Do what you're told. Follow the rules. Don't make mistakes. This creates adults who fear risk, fear embarrassment, and fear standing out. They aren't choosing safety, they're avoiding disapproval. Your brain was trained to associate obedience with survival. So anything unfamiliar? It feels dangerous, even when it isn't. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. You mistake obedience for responsibility. Middle-class conditioning doesn't teach discipline, it teaches compliance. But this isn't even the real trap. The real trap is who this obedience benefits. The approval addiction. From childhood, most people chase one currency: approval. Gold stars, good grades, pat on the head. As adults, that turns into seeking validation from bosses, peers, even strangers. Approval seekers stay in the middle class because they make choices that look responsible, not choices that reflect who they actually are. They buy what signals stability. They avoid what signals risk. They live for appearances they can't afford psychologically. Approval is a leash disguised as praise. Once you rely on it, every decision becomes about optics, not identity. And here's the part nobody notices. The more approval you chase, the more permission you require. Mid-video engagement question. Be honest, do you make decisions for yourself or for how you'll be judged? Comment myself or others. Because the next layer of conditioning, it doesn't target your choices, it targets your imagination. The imagination shrink. Here's the part nobody ever admits out loud. Your normal habits weren't chosen, they were installed. Most people are told to be realistic. Translation, shrink your dreams until they fit someone else's comfort zone. Their imagination collapses into a tiny box. Predictable job, predictable lifestyle, predictable ambitions. No space for reinvention, exploration, or reinvention. Just a loop of safe, acceptable choices. Society doesn't restrict your opportunities. It restricts your imagination so you don't look for more. And this is where it gets dangerous. Once your imagination shrinks, your tolerance for business disappears. But the conditioning gets even deeper. It also rewires how you measure success. Most people don't lose potential, they surrender it. Midpoint twist, the invisible curriculum. Most people think society teaches skills. It doesn't. It teaches predictability. Here's the twist. What you call normal life is actually an invisible curriculum that trains you to stay in the middle class. Predictable routines, predictable dreams, predictable fears. The goal isn't your success, it's your reliability. And once you see this system for what it is, the next points hit even harder. The comfort conditioning. And this is where it gets weird, because the belief you trust the most is the one that's been manipulating you the longest. Most people are taught to avoid discomfort at all costs. Don't take risks. Don't challenge yourself. Don't make people uncomfortable. Comfort becomes a cage, not painful enough to escape, not safe enough to grow. The middle class isn't held back by lack of opportunity. It's held back by discomfort avoidance, the fear of emotional friction. But comfort has a dark side. It convinces you that staying the same is safer than becoming more. And the conditioning goes even deeper. It shapes how you see yourself. The identity trap. Society convinces you that your identity is fixed. Some people are just average. This is just who I am. This is my place. People sabotage their own potential because they believe they're not the type who rises. They protect the identity society gave them, even when it limits them. Identity isn't who you are. It's who you were conditioned to be. Repeat it until you stop questioning it. But the most damaging conditioning? It's the one nobody ever admits out loud. Your childhood voice still controls more of your adult decisions than you think. The scarcity script. Most people grow up hearing, "There's not enough. Play it safe. Be grateful for what you have. Scarcity thinking creates emotional paralysis. People cling to routines, cling to limitations, cling to the familiar even when it hurts them. Scarcity isn't about resources. It's a worldview that makes you fear change more than stagnation. And this leads to the final and most powerful psychological mechanism holding people in the middle class. Because once this last piece locks in, breaking free becomes almost impossible. The narrative cage. Every society creates a normal life story. Work, rest, repeat, settle down. Don't question too much and don't aim too far. People don't just follow the script. They defend it. They judge anyone who refuses it. They mock anyone who steps outside it. You weren't conditioned to fail. You were conditioned to stay predictable enough to maintain the system around you. And once you understand that, the way you see normal will never feel normal again. Let's look at the takeaway, shall we? Here's the truth. Nobody stays middle class because of money alone. They stay there because of identity loops, comfort conditioning, obedience training, and narratives they never chose. You don't escape by learning tactics. You escape by questioning the programming running your life. Most people never question the beliefs they inherited, and that's exactly why society keeps them psychologically middle class. Every expectation, every normal choice, every definition of success was planted long before adulthood, and most people continue living inside those invisible walls. The real trap isn't money or opportunity, it's the identity you were conditioned to accept. That conditioning shapes what you chase, what you avoid, and what you believe you're allowed to have. And until you recognize it, you'll keep replaying the same behavioral script written for you, not by you. So the real question isn't, how do I escape the middle class? The real question is, whose beliefs are controlling your life right now? Because society doesn't need to limit you with rules. It only needs you to keep repeating the identity it taught you. Pay attention to the moments where your reactions feel automatic, familiar, or obvious. That's usually where the conditioning lives. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Which piece of conditioning do you think shaped you the most? So tell me, which belief do you think you were conditioned to accept? Comment below. Your answer tells me exactly where your conditioning started and where it can finally break. Stickman out.